From gridiron glory to criminal shame, some football players have traded their cleats for handcuffs after hiring assassins, killing dogs, and even human beings.
Allegedly linked the former NFL star to the execution-style killing of his friend. Here's ABC's Ron Claiborne.
And you won't believe what Patrick Mahomes did. But first, let's start with a player who had a thing for strangling people. If we had a list for players who have gotten into trouble more times than they set records on the field, Lawrence Phillips would be at the top. But in 2005, he outdid himself, and not in a good way. After a Sunday pickup football game, he got into a disagreement with 3 teenagers and decided to play a real-life game of Mad Max Fury Road. I kid you not. When I say this dude literally rammed his car into them. Luckily, the teens survived with non-life-threatening injuries, but Lawrence wasn't so lucky with the law. And get this wasn't even his first or second run-in with the police. He had existing charges against him for assaulting his girlfriend, and this little stunt just added to his troubles. However, Lawrence's lawless attitude didn't end there. He continued his streak even in prison, strangling his cellmate to death. And while facing murder charges, he decided to end his life a year later in a dramatic fashion by leaving a note on his chest that read, "Do not resuscitate." Yikes! But as shocking as the Lawrence Phillips story is, he's not the only one who's ended up behind bars for a crime of passion. Meet Eric Naposki, a former NFL linebacker who took the phrase "love is a crime" a bit too literally. Eric Naposki, the former NFL linebacker, seemed to have it all: a successful football career and a comfortable life. But behind closed doors, Eric's love life was tangled in a web of secrets and a love triangle. He was having an affair with Nanette Packard, a beautiful woman who, unknown to him, was also married to a wealthy man, Bill McLaughlin. Let's just say Eric wasn't too happy about sharing Nanette's attention and even wanted to marry her. In a shocking turn of events, Eric was arrested for murdering Bill in cold blood. The motive? It wasn't jealousy alone. It was also for money, and Nanette was in on the plan with Eric from the start. The two of them had conspired to murder Bill and make it look like a robbery gone wrong to inherit his money, and also end up together quietly as lovers. Fast forward to the trial, and Eric's world came crashing down. In 2011, he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. So did Nanette, even though she testified against Eric in exchange for a reduced charge. Neither Nanette nor Eric did admit to the killing of Bill, but that did not stop them from being convicted. But if you thought Eric Naposki's story was wild, wait till you hear about O.J. Simpson's escapades. O.J. Simpson, the former NFL star and Hall of Famer for the Buffalo Bills, was accused of brutally murdering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman in 1994. He was, however, acquitted in court, but asked to pay a hefty fine of $33.5 million in damages to the victims' families. But as we all know, trouble loves company, and O.J. seems to be its bestie. Fast forward to 2007, O.J. found himself in hot water again, this time for armed robbery and kidnapping. He and his buddies broke into a hotel room waving guns and stealing sports memorabilia. Yeah, because that's not a recipe for disaster. And this time, the court was not lenient. O.J. was sentenced to 33 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 9 years. Simpson's story may have ended after he died in 2024, but the criminal story of NFL stars continues with Aaron Hernandez's fall from grace. Before it all came crashing down, Aaron Hernandez was living the dream as a talented tight end for the New England Patriots. But soon after he just signed a $40 million extension with the Patriots, Hernandez's life took a rather dark and deadly turn. In 2012, he was investigated for his involvement in a double murder outside a Boston nightclub. Although he wasn't charged, his incident raised flags about his behavior. Just a year later, in 2013, Hernandez was arrested and charged with the murder of Odin Lloyd, who was a semi-pro football player and a friend to Hernandez. The investigation revealed a sinister tale of jealousy and betrayal, with Hernandez orchestrating Lloyd's execution-style killing in an abandoned industrial park. This was the final straw for Hernandez, as the Patriots wasted no time withdrawing the $40 million contract. In 2015, Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. 2 years later, Hernandez took his own life in his prison cell. But while Hernandez may have done the shooting of another person himself, this next NFL player paid a hitman to do his bidding. We all know how good Ray Gareth was back in the day, but his life took a seriously dark turn in 1999. He was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder. He had hired someone to kill his pregnant girlfriend, Jerica Adams, because she insisted on having a baby he didn't want. However, after Jerica was shot, she survived long enough to call 911 to really explain Gareth's involvement, and he was arrested immediately. While Jerica was hospitalized, Gareth was released on a $3 million bail, with the condition that if Jerica or the baby died, he would have to surrender himself. Unfortunately, Jerica died on December 14, 1999, and instead of turning himself in, Gareth fled. But not for long, as he was later caught the next day hiding in the back of his truck like a coward. He was sentenced to 18 to 24 years in prison. He served his sentence in full and then was finally released in 2018. Gareth may not have had the balls to commit murder himself, but the same cannot be said about this next NFL star who even studied before his crime. What Anthony Wayne Smith did was beyond imaginable. The former Oakland Raider player was involved in kidnapping, which led to the brutal murder of 3 men, including 2 brothers, Kevin and Ricky Nettles, and their friend Tony Smith. According to reports, Smith kidnapped 3 men under the guise of being a police officer, took them to a deserted area, and subjected them to a horrific ordeal. The victims were beaten, tortured, and eventually murdered in the most gruesome way possible. The bodies were then left in a rental car, which they were later discovered. The investigation and subsequent trial revealed that the evidence against him was overwhelming, and he was found guilty of triple murder. But the craziest part of it is that he seemed to have been training for it. Books were found in his possession titled Kill Without Joy and Professional Killers: An Inside Look. Smith's actions were described as heinous and cruel, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But while Smith was having people killed, you wouldn't believe what this next NFL player was killing. Former NFL quarterback Michael Vick was once a beloved and respected figure in the sports world. He was a talented player known for his offensive ability on the field. However, in 2007, his reputation took a major downturn once he was arrested and charged with running a dogfighting ring on his property in Virginia. The details of the case were gruesome and disturbing. Vick and his co-conspirators were actually training and fighting dogs, often subjecting them to brutal treatment and death. The investigation found that Vick had been involved in the illegal activity for years, and even participated in the killing of dogs that didn't perform well in fights. The public was outraged, and Vick's sponsors quickly dropped him. He was suspended from the NFL and eventually pleaded guilty to federal charges, serving 23 months in prison. His fall from grace was swift and severe, and his name became synonymous with animal cruelty. Despite his efforts to rebuild his career and public image, the shadow of Vick's cruelty lingered, and it was fruitless. But at least Vick got to serve term. However, the same cannot be said about this other guy who went scot-free after killing someone. It all started when an argument turned deadly in April 2021 at the home of NFL wide receiver Travis Rudolph. The incident included his then-girlfriend Dominique Jones and 4 men, including Sebastian Jean-Jacques and Tyler Robinson, who showed up at the house. Things escalated and a shooting occurred, resulting in Jean-Jacques' death and Robinson's injury. Rudolph claimed self-defense, stating he feared for his life and Jones's safety. However, the prosecution painted a different picture, alleging Rudolph instigating the violence. The accusations led to Rudolph facing 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Fast forward to June 2023 and the case finally went to trial. Rudolph's defense team argued that he acted in self-defense, while the prosecution disputed his claims. The jury deliberated in less than 4 hours and delivered a verdict that stunned many: not guilty on all charges. Now, let me tell you what Patrick Mahomes did that almost led to facing the possibility of prison. Well, it's not exactly Patrick Mahomes himself, but his family members who have had some serious run-ins with the law. First, his father, Patrick Mahomes Sr., was arrested and charged with driving under the influence on multiple occasions. But the most embarrassing one came just a few weeks before his son was set to play in the 2024 Super Bowl. Fortunately, a $10,000 bond was enough to set him free from jail time, and Mahomes would go on to win MVP in the Super Bowl. However, the father of the superstar is not the only one with a criminal charge. His younger brother Jackson was accused of sexual assault in 2022, although he denied the allegations. Now, both of these Mahomes men have faced serious charges, and some fans were even speculating that Patrick Mahomes could do something just as criminal. I mean, can you imagine one of the biggest football stars in the world going to jail? That'd be crazy. But of course, that's not the case, and Patrick Mahomes has always been a standout player and a role model on and off the field, and we hope it stays that way forever. So that's a glimpse into the dark side of football glory. But remember, these are just a few examples. For more shocking stories, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.